All right, Chapter 5, Ethnic and Business Practices, Thomas E. Hilbert, Professional Engineer. Introduction, Ethics defined in Webster's New World Dictionary as a system code, morals, particular person, religion, group of professions. Engineering being profession has its own code of ethics adopted with the National Society of Professional Engineers, NSPE. Professional engineers are bound by this code. The chapter includes strategy, solving ethic questions, exams, example problems. 5.1 Engineering Ethics, NCEES, Model Rules and Professional Conduct, Resource for Engineering Ethics, and Problem-Solving Strategy for Funding and Fundamental Engineering Exam and Summary. F1 Engineering and Ethics, all occupants known as the professionals require advanced education training involved with intellectual skill that traditional professionals include with law, medicine, theology, teaching, architectural engineering. For the most part, members of these professions are held in the highest esteem by general public. They have a specific responsibility continually. These professions must keep their knowledge and skill current with the continuing education and practice with lessons learned in societies, making each exercise professional judgment in their work. You must adhere with a professional code of ethics. Engineers and ethical dilemmas. Experienced members of the professionals are qualified to determine with the training they experience are necessary for the new practice to enter their specific profession subspecialties in a way with the professional self-regulating professional board society with the control training evaluation criteria with the new members admitted certified to practice one credential. However, the professional have the independence of the workplace expected with the exercise of the educated judgment. Like all other professional engineers, are highly trained, highly skilled, they are bound by the licensing ethical rules in their society. Exercise autonomy in the workplace additional because of the quality of the engineering of the work vitally affected the public safety. Engineers are offered regulated state local statutes which include additional code of ethics. Professional service engineers are used at all levels of government. Independent agents that develop the commercial power of the individual for the work. Engineers is crucial for the public welfare of the engineers influence public safety through the choices of the siting, design, material specification, construction methods. To serve the public effectively, engineers must maintain a high level of current technical competency. They must follow the literature, attend lectures, classes, and participate in seminars to follow the advance in their fields. Technical expertise, however, does not guarantee appropriate service. Compliance with ethical guidelines is essential to public welfare. Unethical behavior to tandem to professional incompetency. Engineers must therefore be honest, ethical in all their judgment and dealings. NCEES Model Rules of Professional Conduct. The Code of Ethics set with a guideline not live with the regulation be having the ethical manner as matter of the doing what's right, not rigidly following a set specific rule of the engineer's ethic code spells out with the parameters proper behavior of the engineers when acting professional capabilities. Basically, engineers' ethics of the universal ethics specific with reference to demand and responsibility of the professional engineers. The National Council of Examiners for the Engineering Survey promulgated this set of model rules of professional conduct. All engineers must know the code, understand it, and follow the guidelines, and provided that you will find a code reproduced in the National Council of the Examiners Engineers Fundamental Engineering Reference Handbook at the exam. However, for the purpose of this exam as well with your practice for the engineering knowledge of this code is not enough. You must be able to apply its principles to the code, practical problems, unusual situations on the exam in your professional life. The preamble of the introduction state for the purpose of the code to briefly describe the model rules and the ways in which they must be applied. The model rules of the professional code were developed to comply with one of the main purposes of the state law to safeguard life, health, and property and promote the public welfare. The rules simply translate with the purpose of the state laws include the code of the engineer's rule of the binding on the registration. Engineers and surveyors must maintain high standards of ethical, moral, and conduct. Practice of professional engineers is not a matter of right, but a privilege, but must be earned. One of the engineers has the training and the registration earned with the privilege of the practice of the profession. He or she must perform a service only in the area of his or her current competency with the highest standard of the engineer. Beware of the false boastfulness. Advertising must open the objective of the truthful in representing the public. Conflict interests, unethical, and unfair competition is unethical. Obligation of 3 constituencies. According to the model rule of the professional conduct, licensed professional engineers designated term registration have major obligation 3 discrete constituencies, ordered in importance: first to society, second to an employer and clients, and third to the other registrants. Engineers' responsibility to society, employers, and fellow engineers. Registration obligations to society. The section makes clear for the public safety, public welfare, for the high consideration, money making the moment, meeting deadlines for the client and employer. Further, requires registration forthright in all dealings. Governmental authorities with the public are limited with the professional activities in their areas of competency. Stress of the registration must avoid the conflicts of interest with the appearance of such conflicts. Registration bear responsibility for the public welfare during an outcome of the performance of their service, even when they are engaged in clients, employers, customers. First consideration is to public safety and public welfare. Registration must think beyond the requirements of the specific project toward the long-term health and welfare of the public, and for example, when any of the demanded materials one might needs, in particular enterprise exceed safety standard for the job, engineering should be demanded for long-term welfare, should give the adequate consideration use recyclable materials if available equally applicable. See if the client employer overrules the engineer's professional judgment in a manner adversely affecting the public life, the health, and welfare, and property. The engineer must report the action to the authorities. The registration must safeguard the public even if such action displeases the hiring body. Safety takes precedence over the cost cutting, and the engineer's professional judgment cannot prevail. He or she must blow the whistle. D. Registration. Often find that they submit with a professional report statement. They give them the testimony, civil trial for the reports, and statement of testimonies must complete, objective, and honest, and include all relevant, pertinent information which for the registration is aware. Engineers are often asked of the professional opinion regarding various proposals, the projects, actions, and they must refrain with expressing public opinion unless they adequately knowledgeable of all the facts of the competent with a particular field under question, have completely evaluated the subject matter. Registrants shall have no statement of criticism or arrangements with the technical matter where they are inspired or paid for the intersected parties unless they explicitly identify with the interest parties on whose behalf they speak for the reveal of the interest to have the matters of the effect of the rule of the prohibit the giving the paid endorsement and let the engineer clearly identify with the sponsor. Registrations must deal with the honest, ethical, individual firms. The engineer must carefully avoid associating names of the person, business, and unsavory, even with a dubious reputation. If the registration have the reason to suspect another engineer or firm in a violation of any of these rules, the registrant is required to notify the state of the board requested to assist the board in making the determination of the violation. 2. Registration obligation to employer and client. Section emphasizes the registration provides for the service of the advice only in areas which are completely competent. Second theme in the section requires the confidentiality on parts of the registration following section returns for the need to avoid conflicts of interest. Even with the appearance of such conflicts, urges full disclosure. All contacts may imply conflict of interest. First statement in this section is obvious but needs no explanation. Read entirely. Registrations are undertaken with the assignment only when qualified education experience in the specific technical fields of the engineering or land surveying is involved. Beyond not taking the assignment over which they are not qualified, registration must not approve of any plan documents to deal with the subject matter beyond the areas of competence. Furthermore, they must not sign seal any plans, documents not prepared under the direction and control personal supervision, even if they are full competent to do so. Registration must sign on seal only work which they can honestly assume responsibility. While registration not approve of the drawings or plans are drawn by the engineer not under the supervision, they may assume to coordinate with the entire project for which each design segment is signed and sealed with a full competent engineer who has been reasonable for the preparation of the design segment. Like all other professional engineers must maintain confidential within their relationship with the clients with the information given the project. If the privileged information registration must obtain with the prior consent with the client employer before disclosing any data with the other information about the project. Obviously, registration should not accept bribes. Furthermore, engineers must not accept gifts, money, promises of future benefits from contractors, agents, or from anyone else position to influence purchases, awards, special treatment of these individuals, even if the registration would not influence by each of the gift the appearance of the impropriety or conflict of the interest would damage confidence. Full prior disclosure phrase will keep in mind with the purpose of avoiding misunderstanding, misrepresentation. If there's no any possibility of the potential conflict with the interest, any circumstance might appear with the influence. Registration judge with the quality of service of the registration shall tell the employer of the client in advance, full prior to the disclosure, and serve means with maintaining trust. A general rule of thumb is one that cannot serve the two masters. The application of the rule is that the registration should not be paid by two parties for the service regarding the same project unless all the parties know that they agree with the arrangement. When it's possible, the registration to work with more than one private party, same project, all the parties agree with the rule of the arrangement is absolutely prohibited. One of the parties and with the governmental body because of the rules strictly enforced. Familiarize yourself with the precise language entirety of the rule of the states. Registration shall not solicit except with a professional contract with the governmental body in which principal the officer of the organization, serve with a member of the conversely registration, serve with the body of advisor of the employees or government body department who are principal employees of the private concern should not participate in decisions with respect to the professional service offered by provided by said concern with the governmental body which they serve. 3. Registration obligations of other registrants. Section prohibits false advertising, property influencing, petting, damaging the reputation of the other registration. Registration must not brag and inflate importance of the soliciting bidding of the contracts, must describe the qualification, accurately state all of the aspects of the previous experience of the assignment clearly in competing for a commission or registration will not overstate with their credentials in the detriment of the competition. Gaining assignment through bribery is also the form of unfair competition with a rule with a very specifically prohibiting political contribution for the purpose of influence and granting of the contracts. Finally, an innuendo slander with the denigrate the competitor with the unprofessional, unethical. The final rule brings us back full circle with the original statement of the engineering ethics is ethics. Specific reference to engineering situation, you should recognize the rule as thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 5.3. Resources for engineering ethics. You will find in the World Wide World the excellent research for the preparation of ethics problems on your exam. Rules are easy to understand with their application in real situations. However, there may be many ambiguous, such as the NSPE Board of Ethical Review maintains websites. The NSPE.org website features numerous ethics for the published by the board ethics button of the NSPE website. Other first link to the website with a Case Western Reserve University Ethics Center for the National Institute of Engineering Ethics and Texas A&M University Ethics Case Studies as studies. Previous case of the detrimentals will develop skill for analyzing and solving the problems on your own. Additional references are available to several texts. Engineering Ethics, Cambridge University Press. They have 3 books on ethics. First is the Engineering Ethics Environment by Vestill and Garden, the only book devoted to the environmental ethics of the engineers. Second, the Ethics Engineering Practice Research by Whitbeck. It includes real-world case studies and examples of the problems of the engineering ethics, applications, and issue. Third, Engineering Ethics by Pincus, Human, and Wolfe. These cases are centered on space shuttle show example of the balance, costing, schedule, deadlines, risk. Fourth book published by McGraw, titled Ethics in Engineering by Martin. Current issue presented in many case studies covering moral as well as technological conflict. The reference are useful when the engineer's limited exposure ethical to limited issues, how to resolve them. Alright, 5.4. Problem-solving strategy for the fundamental engineering exam. Problems on that fundamental engineering exam reflect the problem the engineers face with real life. Only sure if the rule of the ethics seem clear. Practice, however, you will often find that the circumstances do not fit neatly into the category. The words are interpreted more than one way. The facts of the case are not complete, and many may even be in conflict. Additionally, it's not always easy to identify what the greatest good. Solving ethical problems. Example problems are drawn by how you might analyze, solve the actual problems that could arise in your work as an engineer. However, you should approach the exam problems, read the entire problem, reread, be sure that you understand the facts and the questions. Eliminate any choice that obviously ridiculous or clearly unethical. Pay particular attention to following conflict, interest, issues, contract, agreement, disputes, as governed by the code, accuracy, proper representation, individual professional information. Now try a typical question presented in 5.1 and 5.2. In 5.5, summary of the 3 major sections of the model rules of professional code address the 3 primary obligations as an engineer. 1. Obligation to society. 2. Obligation to employer and clients. Obligation to other registrants. 3. Principles articulated with this section define the appropriate behavior of the professional engineers. While the meaning of the code clearly, questions may arise concerning the application-specific situations. Therefore, in real life, you may have to make judgment calls of the token give of the prospective contractor constitute with appearance undue influence. Is my expertise in the particular building material adequate for me to serve as a witness in a liability case? How do I weigh in the risk of arrest against benefits of certain course of action for situation safety versus economic trade-off? The ethical one. On the exam, you will be asked a question, prove that you'll know provisions of the code that you can solve the ethical problems arise in workplace. Chapter 6, Engineering Economics.